the starting 11 for your Scouter Crew. Number 1, Tyler. Number 36, Dexter. Number 34, Ryan. Number 53, Sam. Number 5, Boo. Number 88, Fred. Number 77, Francisco. Number 32, Zach. Number 71, David. Number 51, Michael.
Good afternoon, happy Memorial Day weekend, and welcome to Starfire Stadium in Tequila, Washington, where today, Seattle Sounders FC2 will play host to the Sacramento Republic for the second time this season. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Delighted to have you with us. I'm Andrew Harvey. He's Aaron Heinzen. And Aaron, these are two teams that have sort of had a reversal of fortunes recently.
Yeah, well, Sacramento just this last weekend picked up their first win in 6 games. Exciting for them. And S2, after a 3-game winning streak, finally fell last week to Reno, 1868. So they'll be looking to bounce back from that. It was a rather tough loss. Sacramento looking to get things going. They need to keep their season, but both guys really close in the standings and should be a great game today.
Yeah, both teams come in with 4 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw, so level on points. S2 behind on goal differential. But the man we're highlighting for the Sacramento Republic scored the game winner against Tulsa in that 3-2 win, and he is Chris Christian.
Chris Christian, hard tackling defender, a guy who leads in the back line. He's very, very good in the air. S2 are going to have to be so creative trying to get around him because just arbitrary crosses, he'll eat those up all day. And as you said, Andrew, got the game winner last weekend against Tulsa down in Sacramento, so he's definitely a man to watch on set pieces for them.
Well, for S2, Ezra Hendrickson knows he needs a creative attacker, so why not go with the man who's so smart he was considering medical school, Shea Adekoya, getting his second start of the season up top.
Shea Adekoya coming back from UCLA, signed as a homegrown player, and now here with S2. He scored that goal in the last game against T2. He's got a lot of pace. He'll look to get him behind that Sacramento back line and cause some problems. S2 would love for him to get on the scoreboard today.
Yeah, the Sounders were elated to get him as a homegrown player and not have to worry about going through the draft. And again, we were talking about just frustrating loss down at Reno 1868, 6-0. But of course, Rodriguez L goes out on 2 yellow cards very early into the game. How do you bounce back from a performance like that?
Well, it was one of those games that S2 just never could quite get things going and found themselves 3 goals down by the time Rodriguez L went out. It was in the 35th minute. After that second penalty, that was it in the second half. 3 more goals. They ended up losing that game 6-0. S2, you just have to say it's one of those days. It was on the road. It was a tough loss. It's behind them, and you just bounce back here now, get a good victory today, and get yourself right back into it.
On the other hand, this is a Sacramento Republic team that, from their roster depth, the quality of talent, and the experience that they signed when we saw them here on the first match day of the season, and they won that competition 3-1. By the way, we thought this was going to be a team that was lighting up the Western Conference. Aaron, how did they go 6 games without scoring a goal?
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes teams go through these moments, and right now they're creating a lot of chances. They're getting those opportunities. They're getting players in behind, but it's just not falling for them. I think they're all scratching their heads, and finally fell for them last weekend, getting 3 goals. But this Sacramento team has struggled just a little bit, and the only thing I think they can do for themselves is just to keep trying, keep getting those efforts. Hopefully it'll break and get momentum. Sometimes teams just go through it. The strikers just aren't finishing, and that is the life. They do have Sammy Ochoa. He scored for them 4 times. Always a dangerous player up here, so definitely another guy for S2 to watch tonight.
Absolutely. Ochoa, the former Sounder, played for the Sounders from 2011 to 13, and he'll be a man to keep our eyes on. The starting lineups and the first half kickoff coming up next here from Starfire Stadium.
Raise the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
We are back moments away from kickoff here at Starfire Stadium in Tequila, Washington. Sounders FC 2, Sacramento Republic FC. Andrew Harvey and Aaron Heinzen on the call for you here in the first half. And Aaron, let's take a look at the starting lineups for both teams. Up first, the visitors from Sacramento.
As we mentioned before, there's Sammy Ochoa up top, the speed man for Orange County Blues last year, and Trevin Caesar, now Orange County SC. You see in that back four, Chris Christian, we mentioned him, Julius James, Jeremy Hall, all big players. Elliot Hort at right back, and of course, the creativity of Danny Barrera in the center, and the veteran Dominic Jakubek in goal today for Sacramento.
Absolutely. Flipping the script and looking at S2.
We mentioned Shea Adekoya, he's got the speed up top. Milo Barton will come in and get his first start, the academy guy. Denzo Ulyssi again at right back. Of course, the two consistent men in the midfield, Ray Sari, Francisco Narbone. They're backed up behind Sam Rogers, Brian Nanasinkum, and Nuhu Tolo has returned after that shoulder injury he suffered about a month ago. Nice to see him back on that left-hand side. David Olson, Zach Mathers finish out the midfield.
Your referees in charge of today's proceedings is Malik Badawi, pardon me. Assistant referees Seth Mackin and Chad Stewart. The fourth official is Ben Oakley. Final preparations here. It is a bright, sunny day, in the words of ELO. There's not a cloud in sight. And really just warm, 79 degrees right now, but of course on field turf, that's usually about 10 degrees hotter, so in a way almost home field conditions for Sacramento.
Yeah, it's been hot down there. It's been hot up here this weekend. You see they're watering the field beforehand. How long that will last, I don't know. It's certainly a hot one today, this Memorial Day weekend.
Well, yes. like we mentioned, that first meeting between these two teams back here on March 26th, S2 really came out on the front foot, grabbed a goal in the 5th minute. It was the center back Brian Nanasinkum who scored off the free kick service from Irvin Parra. And then after that, Sacramento just kind of battled back and wore down S2. What does S2 have to do differently to get out a better result?
Well, it's a similar story for them. They have come out very, very well in a lot of the games. And after about a 20-25 minute run, they kind of slow down and allow teams to get back into it. It's just a matter of keeping that concentration for the entire half, getting the job done on both sides of the field, first half and second half. They've done very, very well this season on starts. Good quick starts, controlling the pace, creating opportunities, and then something halfway through happens from time to time, and then mistakes happen. But very, very important against this Sacramento team who's full of veterans.
S2 wearing their white uniforms today, and perhaps in deference to the conditions. Sacramento in the dark red. S2 will be moving from left to right on your screen here in the first half. Players break their final huddle. Sacramento gathers into theirs. And Ezra Hendrickson has some interesting tactical options available to him. S2 just added Charles Rankin, a Zambia native and a product of the IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Florida. 23 years of age. And he's on the bench today.
Yeah, very exciting youth international all the way up to the under-20s. Portland Timbers had some interest in him. He played 10 reserve games for them a couple years back, so see what he brings. He's been at St. Louis in the USL, played 30 matches there for the last 2 seasons. Now S2 required his services, and should be interesting to see how he slots in. Always difficult to come in with only a couple days of meeting your teammates, but the game's the same everywhere.
Malik Badawi blows the whistle. We're underway here at Starfire Stadium. Ball goes back to Ulysses. Left in the middle for Miller. He'll go long over the top. There's Dominic Jakubek. And Jakubek, you talk about veteran guys, and then you talk about veteran guys. Jakubek, 37 years of age.
Now, word on him, he loves playing, loves the game. Loves being a local guy from Sacramento, so part of the fabric of the soccer community down there. And, you know, as a keeper, you can play till you're 37, 40, if you like. One of the bonuses of that position.
More and more time in the training room, though, you find as the years come on.
Absolutely.
Miller sends that ball long. That one goes off the head of Milo Barton, settles at the feet of Shea Adekoya. Adekoya into the left alley. Drops it back. Defended there by Jeremy Hall. This is Sorry. Out wide for Nuhu Tolo. Tolo spins in across, and that one headed away by Chris Christian.
And that will be a familiar sight today of Chris Christian winning those headers. That's what he does best.
Trying to go quickly on the counter, coming the other way. That's Trevin Caesar. Caesar was a player who gave S2 a number of problems in that first matchup. Great speed on the counter.
Very strong, very physical. Gave them problems last year for OC Blues, as I mentioned. Sacramento last game against Tulsa in their 3-2 victory started as a 3-5-2. They've changed it today. Head coach Paul Buckle going with a 4-3-3. Utilizing some of that speed out there by Caesar and James Kiffey.
Jeremy Hall brings that ball up the field, turns it over. Milo Barton wins the throw-in for S2. Comes up every time these two teams play, but Jakubek not the only older player on the Sacramento roster. When you look across the age distribution of the USL, S2, of course, because of their nature as that link between the academy and the first team, traditionally a very young team and a short roster as well. Just when you kind of get into the middle portion of a season, how do young players tend to react?
Well, for them, it's an opportunity every time you get in this USL side, and they obviously are playing their own academy games, depending on U18s, U16s, if you're Azriel Gonzalez. So anytime you get a chance to get in the USL roster, it's an opportunity to prove yourself, the way the setup is done here in Seattle.
Ball sent to the far side. That's Barrera. Inside for Barrera, and shot back to Julius James. Chris Christian. Christian now looking for a long ball over the top. Caesar gives chase, and Tolo heads it back to Tyler Miller. And Nuhu Tolo, a presence that was sorely missed after he dislocated his shoulder on a corner kick against Timbers 2.
Yeah, he's just so valuable up that left-hand side, can run forever, got great pace, offers a little bit of creativity. We may even say a 35-yard shot from him today, who knows?
He certainly has the power.
He tries it every game. A lot of fun to watch, though.
Taking too many cues from Osvaldo Alonso. First team holding midfielder. Jakubek deals that ball up toward midfield. Ozzy pretty much always going to try one long-range shot. This one comes down, and Trevin Caesar has fouled Sam Rogers.
Good work by Sam Rogers. Just to get in front of Caesar and challenge for that.
Really, the center back from the U18s has really come into his own the first couple games of this USL season. Ray Sari spins away from pressure. Up the left side to Milo Barton. Has Tolo on the overlap. Barton. Still Barton. Ball runs out of play. Barton appeals for a throw-in, but it will belong to Sacramento.
Well, you can see Tolo just giving Barton a little bit of information there. He wanted that ball there, that first time pass, so Tolo can take it on. Barton drop inside. But you want to see that from young players, taking defenders on. It's all about the learning process, though, when to play the ball, when to go at someone.
Today will be a very good test for young Milo Barton, still in the academy. squaring off against Jeremy Hall, 28-year-old fullback who last season was with the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the NASL.
Yeah, a lot of experience in that back line for Sacramento. Chris Christian, who was at Atlanta a couple years ago.
Julius James, a former
James,
Fort Lauderdale striker. And also a good test for Shea Adekoya, who again hasn't seen too much of the field with either the first team as Zach Mathers fouled hard there by Chris Christian. And Malik Badawi wants a word with Chris Christian, trying to pull him over to the side here. Take a look at this.
Well, I could see Chris Christian just goes right through Zach Mathers. He was never going to win the ball. Now he's had his warning.
Well, that's a fine how do you do. And hey, Aaron, it's the 6th minute. S2 has a free kick. Does this position look familiar to you at all?
It certainly does. We've seen this a number of times.
Hey, keep an eye on Brian Nanasinkum. There he is making his way inside the penalty area. Ray Sorry demanding his 10 yards.
In the past, this has typically been Zach Mathers when he's on the field, but Ray Sorry has proven that he can play in a effective ball on a set piece. He's going to get the chance here.
Sorry, low ball over the top. Met. Oh. But it was Brian Nanasinkum. Ball kept in play by Barton on the end line. Served back inside. Francisco Narbonne trying to get underneath it. Now Caesar comes in, gets a touch to it. Nanasinkum chops it back out to the left side and out of play.
Great ball in by Ray Sorry. Nanasinkum just a little bit out of his reach. It's a nice ball back in, too, by Barton.
Ferentz only gets as far as Barton. Now pulled away by Caesar. Going on a run, going down, and winning the foul is Trevin Caesar. Quick restart. Near sideline for Chris Christian. Barrera over to Hall. Hall on the ground, into the middle, looking for Wilson Nisha. Can't find him. And it's tackled away by Ray Sorry. David Olson rolls one forward, looking for Shea Adekoya. He gets tangled up with Chris Christian, and Christian able to body him out. Ball up the side. Attempted to swing it into the middle. From James Kiffey.
It's a good early look by David Olson, trying to find Shea Adekoya. Maybe just take one more touch. Let Shea get around his defender and get level with him. Instead, he played it just a tad too early, so Shea wasn't able to completely let fly on that pace of his.
Thrown in, headed down by Mathers. Narbonne going for the quick switch, trying to pick out Barton. That's great vision from Narbonne, just couldn't execute the way he wanted. Now they're going to roll it up to Trevin Caesar, who has the lane on Nuhu. Picks up the ball in the right alley. Back to Hall. Back to James. Sacramento looking to reset. Nisha calling for the ball over the middle. Settled by Ochoa. Ochoa out right. Kiffey drops it back and in. Nisha headed up by Ulysses. Ochoa on the volley. Deflected there by Nanasinkum. Ray Sorry trying to get rid of the ball. Barrera and Narbonne does enough to clear it away for the moment. Zach Mathers picks it up. He's pressing toward midfield. Drops it off for Narbonne. Milo Barton wasn't able to come back to that ball in time. It's cut out. Sacramento, Aaron, a tough team to catch on the counter. They defend very well.
That was good play here from Sacramento.
Looking for a cross from the far side. And Zach Mathers gets in there and wins a hard-fought throw-in.
Just keep an eye on the matchup between Sammy Ochoa and Denzo Ulysses on the right. Ochoa is floating out there. Was able to physically kind of push Ulysses around a little bit. It's a great step from Nanasinkum to block that shot from Sammy Ochoa.
Ochoa throws into Nanasinkum, headed back to Tyler Miller.
Ochoa, of course, the leading scorer for Sacramento this year, 4 goals. Although 2 in 1 match. It's pretty astounding, a team like Sacramento with veteran players that they have on their team and the guys that can do damage. Tyler Blackwood on the bench. Of course, Sammy Ochoa, James Kiffey. To have not scored in 6 straight games is unusual for them.
Well, they will be hoping that 3-2 win in which Ochoa scored his 4th of the season will have banished that run of form. 10 minutes in here at Starfire Stadium, 0-0. Sounded like there might have been an inadvertent whistle just now. Ball settles to the near sideline for James Kiffey. Kiffey up to Caesar. Back to Chris Christian. Christian going to take some space. Back to Cazares. Over to Hall. Hall looking for the ball over the top. Not good enough to get it past Nuhu. Narbonne. Nuhu. Narbonne looking for Barton, and Narbonne's pass, again, not able to connect.
You were talking about the intermittent whistles, Andrew. The fun thing about Starfire is fields all around this main field, and right now there's a lacrosse tournament going on, so I think that's some of the referees' whistles we're hearing. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, where's that whistle coming from?
The sound can carry very oddly, and from the elevated position here, sometimes wind up getting deceived. James deals to Hall on the far sideline. In for Barrera. Barrera looking for the big switch, trying to link up with Kiffey. Kiffey gets a foot to it, facing off of Ulysses. Trevin Caesar. Kiffey. Back to Cazares. In for Barrera. Hall. Sacramento just moving the ball around seemingly at will right now. Haven't really tried anything going forward. Now it's with Caesar. Christian. Back to Barrera. Barrera out wide to Kiffey. Kiffey inside for Caesar. Great move past Notasinkum. He's on his right foot. He shoots. Tyler Miller with a diving stop. Ball is spilled. Caesar does battle going toward it. And it's cleared up and out. Header won by Barrera, who goes down. Secondary one won by Olsen. Adekoya comes back. Sari gets a foot to it. And S2 win control of the ball. That one looks like it went off the hand of Wilson Nisha. Referee Malik Badawi agrees.
Huge sequence of possession there from Sacramento. Just working the ball around, but here it is. Trevin Caesar just goes right around Notasinkum, no problem. He's been the most active of the front guys so far. That's a warning sign right there for S2.
Caesar's agility always makes him such a threat. Whether he puts the ball past your left or right, he can pretty much pick either side and get around you himself. Ball up by Olsen. Adekoya underneath it. Chris Christian comes in and loses the ball into touch on the near side. Ulysses surveying his options. Back for Olsen. Olsen wanted to send in a cross. Nisha deals it away. Had a whistle for something, and Zach Mathers is now going to get a talking to from the referee. Not really sure what all this is about. But in any case, it looks like
perhaps Mathers wanted to take something quickly. It was tough to see.
Well, all right, now it's thrown into Mathers toward the end line. Defended by Kiffey. Swings in across, and that one is out for the first corner of the game for S2.
Mathers does well there to get a corner. Just swings and plays it off Kiffey.
This will be Mathers to send this ball in from the right alley. Low ball driven to the front post, and a flick on header. I believe that was Sam Rogers. Secondary ball sent in. Rogers settles underneath it, and on a little bit of contact that time from Julius James, loses his footing.
Sam Rogers does so well to flick that on you. Gotta imagine there's gotta be somebody there in the near post.
Ulysses sails one in. Well, there were options. Ball just wasn't able to drop down in time. Still strong early chances from S2. 15 minutes in here, 0-0. Sacramento have definitely enjoyed the greater run of possession, but really just have the one Trevin Caesar chance to show for it so far.
It was a great save from Tyler Miller, too. Had to react quickly for that one.
Miller, a guy that Ezra Hendrickson can be very grateful that Brian Schmetzer from the first team will loan to him so frequently. Of course, with the great hands of Stefan Fry, this is also a great opportunity for Miller to get more minutes and time, continue his development as a player. Barrera cuts it back, it's with Hall. Again, Barrera. Hall, back to Christian. Sacramento really trying to draw S2 forward, create some more space for their quick guys like Caesar to work up front. So far, S2 not biting on it.
And Sacramento have done really well, keeping the ball moving it much quicker, trying to find those little gaps. S2 only been opened up once so far.
It's an S2 defense that certainly knows how to play to zero, and if you want proof of that, look at that 0-0 they managed on the road down at San Antonio FC. Big switch over the top. Brought down in the right alley. Tolo defends. Has he conceded the corner? He has. The first of the game for Sacramento.
Here's where S2 really need to be focused. All the big guys coming forward. James, Christian, Hall. S2 have Sam Rogers. But other than that, a couple of guys might be a little short.
Ball in, header one. Emphatically, that one was David Olson, the first one to it. It settles with Sacramento. Here's Kiffey. Kiffey onto his right foot, looking for a shot. It's deflected by Denzo Ulisi. Dealt to the left side, looking to link up with Wilson Nisha, and it's out of play.
Good step from Ulisi.
Ulisi, 18 years of age, Haitian by birth, joins from Real Hope in Haiti. And also the only player in this back four starting today to have not scored for S2 this season. Nana Sinkum managed one against the Sacramento Republic. Sam Rogers scored against San Antonio. And Nuhu Tolo scored on the road down at Los Dos.
His big finish that was against Los Dos.
Of course, Ulysses might also get a pass, seeing as this is just his fourth start of the season for S2.
Another one of those outside backs with a lot of pace for S2.
Here he is.
See it right now.
Putting it on display. He's going to link up with David Olson. Ulysses spins in across. It's shuffled out the far side and goes off Milo Barton.
Good ball from Ulysses. Maybe just a little bit hard for Shiatakoya to get there. Whips it across. Milo Barton couldn't quite get there at the far post either, but nice work from Ulysses.
Elliot Horde was the Sacramento player who managed to win that throw-in. Ball headed up. Adekoya. Olson settling underneath this ball, heads it down. Adekoya gives chase. He flicks it toward the net, and it's wide of the post. But it's taken a deflection. It's out for a corner. Take another look.
Nice ball won there by David Olson. Just at the last second, Sacramento gets a touch.
Mather's going to have the chance to send in another cross from the near sideline. Low ball in. That one finds the ground inside the area. Olson gives chase to the far sideline. Drops it back to Nuhu. Nuhu shuffles it over to Sari. Sari spins in a long ball. Mathers to the end line. Gets a touch on it, but cannot bring it down. It's out for a goal kick.
Oh, that header was so close for Francisco Narbonne. He timed his run perfectly. Came right across the goal. Just didn't make the contact he wanted. Mathers, that ball just a little bit high for him. Couldn't get it back across the goal, but good pressure here from S2.
Promising signs from the young Seattle team hoping to get its 5th win of the season here today. 20 minutes in, no score here at Starfire Stadium. Jakovic knocks this ball long. Flick on header. Nanasinkum shuffles it back to Miller. It's a bit outside the net. Miller has to come out awkwardly to deal with it, and Ray Sari does a great job of winning what's a much more important header than it might seem. Nanasinkum, he gets tabletopped. Play continues. Nuhu. Sam Rogers. Mathers turns, lets this ball run. He's past Barrera. Barrera flicks one up towards Shea Adekoya. Adekoya collects it. Tries to go to the right side to link up David Olson. Ball winds up with him, and he is offside. Waved off by the referee, and now it's out for a goal kick.
Good effort from Olson, just trying to keep that down and on target. Great early ball from Zach Mathers to find Shea Adekoya. I thought Adekoya was going to turn and go straight at the Sacramento back line, but chose to play it wide again.
Well, referee Malik Badawi just explaining to Dominic Jakovic why he decided that Olsen had not been in an offside position when the ball was played to him. Ball with Christian on the near sideline. Ball up into the middle. Our ball in the first one to it. Bounces off Ray Sari. It's with Kiffey. Kiffey hoofs it up the line. Here comes Trevin Caesar. Trevin Caesar gets the edge on Sam Rogers. Rogers bodies him out. That's great use of the size from the young center back.
Excellent work from Sam Rogers. Caesar was in. He had to make that tackle. He got it right.
Adekoya draws a foul on the far sideline.
This will now be the second Sacramento defender to get a warning. There's something to think about as the game goes on.
This time it's Julius James, a 32-year-old former Fort Lauderdale striker and Trinidad and Tobago native. Big switch down to Ulysses. Ulysses spins away from the tackle, has some space in front of him, room to run. To the 18, an early cross, and headed away by Jeremy Hall. As far as Nuhu. Nuhu accelerates, sends another cross, no one on the end of it. Ulysses will give chase, but James Kiffey able to deal the ball up and sails over the touchline.
Good effort from Nuhu to get that ball across. It was just a little far for anyone. I like the fact that he drives forward, tries to create something. Everybody thought that pass was going to go outside to Milo Barton.
Caesar trying to link up with Ochoa. Ulysses knocks it over to the far side. Elliot Horde is there, and Horde collects it. Defended by Nuhu. Into the right alley, and Nuhu blocks out the cross. Secondary ball bounces in awkwardly toward net, and Tyler Miller calls everyone off. Miller throws to the right side for Ulysses. Throw into Sacramento. Ulysses tried to appeal for the call. He had been the last to touch the ball, though, Aaron. Still, you got to ask.
Nice idea by Miller, but maybe just put Ulysses in a tough spot. James Kiffey was right there.
This is Agustin Cazares. Ball back to Hall. Kiffey calling for it on the near sideline. Cross is sent toward him. He'll run forward. Ulysses drops back to recover. Kiffey inside the area to his right foot. Dishes up top. It's Barrera on the shot. Settled by Horde. Back to Hall.
Great stop by Francisco Narbone. I think that was probably going on target.
Christian spins one over the top. Trevin Caesar runs inside, tried to go for the volley. Nuhu goes shoulder to shoulder and does enough to win a goal kick.
Great look from Chris Christian. Just picks out Trevin Caesar right over the top and just a little bit long. The Sacramento forward. Great ball from Christian.
Nuhu. Long over the top from Rogers, up to Adekoya. Over to Ulysses. David Olson. A nifty first touch. Christian was ready for the second, though. Cuts it out. Kiffey. Kiffey absorbs pressure on the back from Olsen. Quickly restarted by Sacramento. And Sacramento will pull it back out. Kiffey again looking for that long switch. This time a lower service. Ulysses has it bounce away from him and cuts it away, but only as far as Cazares. Cazares goes for a quick switch. Elliott Horde serve back in the middle, and Tyler Miller is right there and up to the task.
Great reaction from Tyler Miller. Ulysses does so well to cut that ball out, but his block sets up a perfect cross for Cazares. Miller does very, very well to stop that ball from going across his goal, which would have been an easy tap in for Sacramento.
Another long ball over the top. Nuhu flicks it back toward Miller. We have to remember it, at 24 years of age, he is the veteran guy on this S2 roster. He's impressed wherever he's played. Forced to make a kind of emergency start down at Real Salt Lake last year. Gave up a game-winning goal on the lone mistake of the match, but other than that, was very impressive. Came back in the U.S. Open Cup and made 2 saves in the penalty shootout to avenge the regular season defeat.
Well, you and I have seen him save a couple penalty kicks this year so far. Very talented young keeper.
Barbone. Miller serves up a high ball. Cazares settles underneath it. Mathers wins the header. Adekoya, short, looking to go back to Mathers. It's cut out and back with James. James. Over to Hall. Christian. Christian. Big ball over to Horde. Cazares. Forgive me, that's Nishaw. Back with Horde. Hall lofts one over the top. Christian. And that ball sent out of play. Agustin Cazares loses it off his foot. St. Mary's College graduate and former member of the Ventura County Fusion in the PDL. And speaking of the PDL, later this afternoon, being streamed on YouTube, will be a Sounders FC U23 match right here from Starfire Stadium. We'll have Sounders U23 head coach Darren Swatsky with us at halftime.
Darren Swatsky, Pacific Northwest boy from Oregon. Played at the New England Revolution, went to the MLS, came back, played for the Sounders in the USL. Used to have the flowing long locks, scored a lot of goals. Great guy here in the soccer community.
Olsen tracks his ball into the middle, up to Adekoya. Adekoya looking for support, touches back for Olsen. Olsen wants his right foot here. Slows up Raysari, out wide to Ulysses. I remember asking Darren about the hair one time before a game against the Sounders U23s I broadcast last year, and he said, oh, it was a different time. Zach Mathers had been called for a foul away from the ball. And Malik Badawi is going to put Mathers in the book here in the 30th minute. Mathers might have used up his good graces in that incident earlier on.
Well, he seems pretty confused about it. I certainly have a question or two. I don't know what happened at the first part during the throw-in thing. Mathers seems pretty annoyed. Only thing you can do here is just take the yellow card and move on.
So Zach Mathers into the book in the 30th minute.
Sacramento may remember Zach Mathers from last year. He scored a goal down what was then Bonnie Field. Fabulous left foot goal.
Another look. That's Mathers right there. And yeah, well, that.
I think he's saying that Danny Barrera had a hold of his jersey, stopping his run. Mathers kind of pushes him away. Just using his arm, but nonetheless picks up a yellow card.
So now we've had the first booking. Another ball over the top towards Caesar. Caesar gets a touch to it. Miller's come out of his goal. Now retreats. Caesar in the left alley. Drops back to Kiffey. Kiffey gonna serve in a cross. An in-swinger. And dealt right back out by Sam Rogers as far as Barrera. Olsen flicks it down. Barrera puts it back up. And Cazares settles it back to Christian.
S2 caught just a little bit of sleep there. Caesar makes that run in behind.
Able to wake up in a hurry, though. Thanks to some solid defending by Sam Rogers. But just to finish that thought really quickly, once you've seen that first yellow card come out, pretty much every time there's a challenge and someone winds up on the ground, your first look is to the referee's hand and if he's reaching for anything. Knee shot wide to Hall. Horde back to Hall. Jakubek. Near side for Christian. Christian looking for another long ball. Up to Ochoa. Ochoa has Horde to his right. Picks him out. Back to Hall. Barrera. Kiffey. Creeping up the near sideline. Milo Barton and cut out. And that compactness that Denzel Ulysses is playing at right back, it seems like, Aaron, if Sacramento is able to serve in that perfect ball to Kiffey, he's going to have plenty of time to swing in that cross, although Ulysses does have good foot speed.
Well, and that's what they're hoping. They're pushing everybody forward, both outside backs playing way wide. Giving time for Christian, Jeremy Hall to serve balls over the top. What's headed back, what Sacramento doesn't win is scooped up by Barrera. Cazares in the midfield, and they keep that pressure on the back line of Sounders too.
Ball back to Christian. Back inside to James.
It's almost as if when they do have possession, they move to a 3-5-2 here.
Definitely fair. It would have taken some observers quite a while to notice that Kiffey was technically listed at left back. Arbone down to the near side for Ulysses. Ulysses over to the sideline for David Olsen. It runs out of play. Took a deflection. S2 with a quick throw in. And Malik Badawi not going to allow the restart. David Olsen was too far upfield.
Actually, might have been a break for Olsen. I think his throw was going pretty. It's going to be tough for Mathers to get.
Ball up for Adekoya. Drops it off for Mathers. Mathers to his left. Gets past Cazares. Shot on the ground, and Jakubek able to deal with it, keep it in front of him.
That is almost a carbon copy of how Zach Mathers scored his goal last summer against Sacramento. That run inside, underneath, gets the little pass back onto that left foot. He can crack him from there. Good run from Mathers.
Not really the first action required from Dominic Jakubek today. At least the first action that involved the use of his hands. Ulysses intercepts that pass. Cuts it inside to Sari. Barton making the run down the left side. Barton will pick it up. Hall comes out to defend. Scooped inside for Adekoya. Adekoya trying to get past James, and James stands him up.
Good strong defending from James. Sacramento just struggling a little bit with their entry pass into the midfield. Cut out a couple of times now.
Switch over to Kiffey. 35 minutes in here. Kiffey into the attacking third. Ochoa wanted to go outside to find Trevin Caesar. Instead, it's with Kiffey. Over to Horde. Horde towards net. That one took a deflection. Nuhu down on the ground afterward. Nuhu appears to be holding his left leg. And now the trainer's being waved on. Well, there was no contact. There was no apparently awkward step. Nuhu Tolo is down on the ground here as we enter the 36th minute.
We'll see if we can get a look at the replay. Maybe he stretched.
Take a look. There's Nuhu right there. He reaches out. Ball comes off his left leg, and then you just see him immediately sit down. So maybe he pulled something when he was reaching out that left leg. He's able to walk off under his own power. And Ezra Hendrickson, no doubt, will be hopeful that Nuhu will be able to return here shortly. He'll be without him for this corner kick. The second of the game for Sacramento. Danny Barrera out on the right side to swing this one in. Chris Christian standing right on the penalty spot. Ochoa in there as well. Trevin Caesar down low in the mix. Ball in for Barrera inside the 6-yard box, headed up and away by Adekoya. Settled by Horde. Horde turns, deals back to Cazares, and they go all the way back to James.
It looks like Tolo's moving okay. Could be one of those cases his feet weren't quite set and ball hits off his foot and he felt the tweak or something.
Ball comes through, and the flag up for offside on Wilson Nisha. Didn't track back far enough as the ball dealt out, and we tick towards halftime here, Aaron. And really, what have you seen out of S2 so far?
Well, S2 have had a couple of moments, especially down the right side with Denzo Ulysses. A couple good crosses. They need a few more bodies in that box if they're going to send those kind of balls in. They've all been really fast, especially at the back post. Other than that, just keep going. They've had one or two moments where Sacramento have done a nice job of opening them up.
On the defensive end of things, is there any counter for this Sacramento dynamic attack apart from constant vigilance?
You just have to make sure that you don't get beat by Caesar on his individual effort that we saw earlier.
Caesar again against Nanasinkum. Nanasinkum ready for that cut inside this time. Nuhu cuts it out. Sorry. To his left, gets a step on Barrera. Sorry, eating up all kinds of space. Switches to the right side of David Olson. Olson's first touch goes a little high on him. Sends it in. Header toward net and just over the bar. Ray Sorry went on a long run, nearly rewarded himself by bagging a goal.
Great effort from Sorry. Wasn't a great touch at all from David Olson, but he serves this one in very well. The far post almost would have been easier if it skipped everybody and gone to Milo Barton in that far post. He could play it back in on the ground, but good effort from Ray Sorry. He's not a man you expect to get way up on those.
You could see as that ball was coming in too from the body language of Shea Adekoya. He had one word on his mind: bicycle. Ball's with Horde on the far sideline. Nisha. James. Christian. Cazares. Ball up from Jakubek. Kiffey manages to keep that ball in play. David Olson, a clean tackle to get the ball away, and the pass up to Mathers is picked away. Olson nearly spins out of the tackle. It settles with Ulysses. Narbonne. Olson lets it go. Sorry. Has space to chop it to the left. Gets it over toward Tolo. Tolo plays himself in. Another early cross, and again, no one pressuring. Adekoya manages to force Jakubek to pick up the ball, but the way Sacramento's playing defense, S2 just doesn't have time to get runners in the box.
It'll be interesting to see if front line of S2, Adekoya, Mathers, and Olson put a little more pressure on that back line of Sacramento instead of allowing those guys to play the long balls over the top into Caesar and Nisha and Ochoa. Force them to try and play through the middle, force them to make these passes, and S2 maybe can cut a few more out. They'll have more bodies going forward. That last opportunity came from something a little bit like that. That pressure from David Olson, get the ball back quickly, go right at that back line. They are just moving it at 3 at the back at the moment when they have the ball.
At Sacramento, it seems like to play a relatively high back line. So especially if you can force one of those turnovers, then there's a lot of space. And S2 has a lot of speed.
Here it is again from Christian. Just looking for that long ball over the top.
We're in the 41st here. Just a couple more before the break. Wilson Nisha goes down in the heat. And now the free kick delay going to be reset. Nisha taps it back. Herrera, Christian. Cazares. Kiffy. Cazares thinking about a run. Back to Christian. Now you'll see Mathers come to apply a little bit of pressure. They'll go back to James. James sends a long ball. Nuhu gives chase. Horde heads it down. And drops it back to Hall. Barrera. Barrera on the ground out wide for Horde. Horde sets up a cross. Headed in. Flickerhound header. Kiffy. Space for a shot. And doesn't get the contact he wants. Routine stuff for Tyler Miller.
Easy save for Miller. But again, you just see S2 are sitting back. They're hoping that these long balls will get cut out and they can get something on the break, but they haven't taken enough advantage of it yet. Maybe a little more pressure, a little more defensive effort from the front players to disrupt some of these.
Mathers wins the ball. Sorry comes out to the near sideline for Ulysses. Up for Adekoya. Adekoya drops it off. S2 going to take a turn, dealing the ball backward now. Over with Sam Rogers. Ray Sorry. Miller. Game is really slowed to a crawl here in the, feels weird to say it, but the May heat here in Staquilla. Ball over the top. Ulysses going to give chase. Julius James there first. He'll cut it out, and that one's over the roof. So one of those lacrosse games behind us, about to be very surprised indeed. Thrown into Ulysses. Ulysses cross again. Not able to link up with anyone. Jakovic deals with it. Goes for the drop kick, and that rolls into touch.
Ulysses wasn't the greatest ball, but again, Shea Adekoya, the only guy there, and no one else inside the box at all for S2. You
can see out there, players already kind of leaning forward, hands on knees. We still got another 45 minutes to go after we get to halftime. And the condition's not going to get better, it's going to get hotter.
Yeah.
Olsen taps this ball down. Adekoya in front of him. Julius James comes out, puts an arm on him. S2 have a corner.
David Olsen, James does well to cut off that angle, but Shea Adekoya would have loved a ball just played right in front of him. Maybe one of those passes that should have come sooner rather than later.
44th minute, Zach Mathers set for a corner kick from the right side. On the way toward the back post, Rogers gets ahead to it. It pops up, Nanasinkum collects it in the left alley. Nanasinkum drops back to Nuhu. Has Rogers to the inside and goes to him. Rogers thinking about the home run ball. Drops it back to Sari. Sari spins in a high ball. Adekoya collects on the flag, up for offside. And this time Malik Badawi does agree with his assistant referee. So free kick as we cross over into the 45th minute.
Good look on the back post by Sari. Adekoya just a step off sides. Apart from that Tyler Miller save, neither side's created a ton of opportunities so far in this first half. I definitely agree with you, Andrew. The heat's playing a part of it.
Nisha heads that ball forward. Rogers nudges it away. Nisha collects. Drops it back off for Barrera. Barrera cuts it to his right foot. Try to go to Ochoa. Nisha. Ray Sari in there with a challenge. Absorbs the jersey tug. And that'll be a free kick. We'll Olsen Nisha, who joined Sacramento from Blythe Spartans FC, an English 7th Division team.
Nisha, 9 appearances, 2 goals so far and an assist. Just sitting behind Sammy Achilla with 4 goals. Had 3 goals in 5 appearances last year in 2016.
Olsen brings this ball down, nearly rolled it through to Sari. It falls through the Adekoya, and a great tackle from Chris Christian to get it away from him. Quick switch and comes Trevin Caesar. Nana Sinkham denies him. It settles with Ulysses. We're into stoppage time. 2 minutes added on is what we're being told here in the booth. Olsen rolls one into the middle. Zach Mathers tried to get rid of it. He comes up holding his ankle a little bit, appealing for a call. Meanwhile, it's with Sammy Ochoa, who's pushing past midfield. Ochoa has Horde to his right, rolls it back, holds onto this ball, now drops it off for Kiffy. Kiffy toward the penalty area. Outside of the foot service, and well, you can see it there. Kiffy just was hesitant to send that ball in with his left.
Just ran out of steam. Kind of ran out of ideas and just tried to poke something in.
Sacramento still on the front foot here. Pardon me, Aaron.
Not at all. I was just going to say S2 trying to clear. Don't get it to anybody. Now they have to defend again.
That ball's rolled out, and Sacramento have their 3rd corner of the game.
Important S2 just able to clear this, get into halftime with being level.
And you see all 11 players from S2 coming back into the penalty area. They know what a threat the height and size of Sacramento are on these set pieces. Barrera set to swing this one in. We're in the 2nd minute of stoppage time. Kick swerves in toward the goal, and another header, that time by David Olsen. Attempted volley, took a deflection and cleared back out. Horde dishes to the right for Barrera. Barrera swings in across Tyler Miller off his line, and just fantastic elevation. And he gets tangled up with Julius James.
Well, you can see James coming across Tyler Miller, stopping him from taking this. And he's going to pick up a yellow card for his troubles. I think that's the right call. Watch him here, keeps his arms, keeps in front of Tyler Miller. No question about it.
Justifiable booking here in the 2nd minute, just top of time. He'd been warned earlier on for a harsh tackle on Shea Adekoya, and now Julius James goes into the book. And that is the last action of the 1st half here in the heat at Starfire Stadium. Again, in the last 10 minutes, that game really kind of ground down and wore people out. And Aaron, as you take a look, what kind of has to happen apart from rehydrating in the locker room during the break? What needs to change?
Well, I think for S2, just a matter of getting more bodies into the box. You know, they've had a couple good services, especially from the right-hand side. Give yourself an opportunity to score. It can't just be Shea Adekoya. The other side, Sacramento, a couple of individual efforts away from probably scoring there in the first few minutes, first 10, 15 minutes of that half, especially from Trevin Caesar. Things have slowed down for them as well, but I'm sure they'll have plenty of opportunities, and in the 2nd half,
when we return, Sounders U23 head coach Darren Swatsky will join us. Your score at the half: Seattle Sounders FC 2-0, Sacramento Republic FC 0.
The USL's all-time leading scorer has added another accolade to his resume.
Here's Kelly. And he's got the hat trick! Dane Kelly has done it again! Back-to-back games, 3 goes for Kelly.
Dane Kelly is now the only player in USL history to score back-to-back hat tricks. Kelly notched his first 3-goal game in Reno's first win in club history.
Carries the ball ahead. Into an attacking position. He scored in the second minute.
Together before they get another goal.
Brown Kelly. That's 2 in 6 minutes. Kelly, he steps over and he puts it in off the post. That is a hat trick in the 66th minute.
The second occurred in front of a home crowd, leading Reno to their first ever win at Greater Nevada Field.
Richards finds Kelly and Dane Kelly. Goal! Kelly finds net again. Here's Kelly. And he's got the hat trick. Dane Kelly has done it again.
Kelly was honored with 2 USL Player of the Week recognitions following his back-to-back performances. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
We are back at Starfire Stadium here in Tequila, Washington. Scoreless at the break between Seattle Sounders FC2 and Sacramento Republic FC2. Andrew Harvey and Aaron Heinsohn in here for you. And now we are joined here in the booth at halftime by Darren Swatsky, a man who scored 22 goals in 67 league appearances for the Sounders from 2002 to 2004. And now the head coach, let me see if I can get all of these, the Sounders U23s, the Sounders women, the Tacoma Stars, and the Guam national team. Have I missed anything?
Well, I don't coach the women. I help run the business. So
Okay.
Let's clarify that. Kim Calkins does that for us. She does a great job. But I'm involved in all of those entities, yeah.
So, Darren, you are in a lot of ways in Seattle soccer here in the Pacific Northwest. You kind of are involved in all of it. What's it like to do all that stuff? Busy, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. It's we all have our piece. My job, along with a lot of other guys, is to get them ready for Smets. We want to get them into Ezra's team and move them up the ladder and help them become pros.
Darren, obviously a long-time player in the area. What's your biggest thing for these guys growing up? You've done it. You've gone to the pros. You have the insight. I mean, what do you tell them? For these guys that now it's a real established ladder as to when you were playing, you could go almost anywhere. But now, like, these guys can climb it up through the Sounders organization, etc. What do you impass?
Well, the reality is when you and I were playing back in college in the day, we had to call each other up and go play in the front yard to get a game. I mean, now they have all these opportunities to play PDL, NPSL, USL. I mean, you got a 17-year-old kid from the academy that's starting the last 8 games for the Sounders. It's awesome. For me, it's all about the mentality of it. The difference between being a good soccer player and becoming a pro is the mentality to be able to do the grind every single day, and that's what we try to impart on them.
Exciting.
Waiting for PDL guys to get back from college. Delays the start of your season, so you guys are kind of just ramping up first couple games now. How are things going for you at the U23s?
Yeah, we have a good pool of guys. There's a lot of Division I All-American level guys, some under national team, under whatever national team players, but they don't know each other. Tonight we'll start a guy who hasn't met the guys yet. He gets in the locker room, so it takes a month or so to find some rhythm and find out what we really have. But we've won a couple games, and that's what you got to do. You got to get points.
Squaring off tonight against TSS FC Rovers, right? That's
correct.
They're coming out of Vancouver. First time that the U23s have played them in PDL play. Kind of what are you expecting from tonight's game?
TSS has really taken that spot, that pocket or bucket, if you will, up in Vancouver that the Whitecaps used to operate with the PDL. So they have a good young team. We need to try to use our veteran status and take some points tonight.
Darren, a little bit. You got an unusual situation coaching the Guam national team. You tell a little bit about that. I mean, what's that like, pulling guys in? And
I've been blessed. I'll tell you what. I've got to coach and play at a lot of different levels, and I got an opportunity through a friend to take the Guam to the EAFF this last fall, and I have an opportunity coming up, possibly take them through qualifying. So, it's a whole nother level at the international game, and those guys are lucky.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, when you approached it, or when you came in as the coach, did they have any expectations for you? Obviously Guam competes in the Oceania area part of the world, if I'm correct, and you guys can see some serious big teams potentially in Australia or New Zealand.
We played North Korea, and with 12 minutes left in the game, it was 0-0. We had a penalty. Our captain rang it off the crossbar. They countered and scored to beat us, and if we'd have beat North Korea, it would have been a pretty special thing. So I'm pretty impressed. There's some good USL guys in there and some pros from around the world. AJ De La Garza is probably the top player. Plays for the Houston Dynamo, so they're good.
Oh, it's really exciting. Well, good luck to you coming up in the qualifiers.
Appreciate it.
When you do get to the national team level, what goes into recognizing guys, especially when you're going to call someone up for Guam? I imagine there's a certain element of come play for Guam. I imagine you have a lot of guys who might have some dual eligibility going for them.
Well, there are certain requirements that you have to meet. We have a lot of guys that are American-based. They play in American colleges and that. So there's only 160,000 people on Guam, so you got to be very selective. You have to set the expectation, and you got to know what you're doing to have a chance to win games. So,
as far as the Tacoma Stars go, 11-on-11 soccer, indoor soccer, two totally different animals. You're experienced with both, but how do you take, because a lot of your guys are from 11-on-11 play, how do you get them ready for a professional indoor season?
It's a learning process even for me. It's tactically, I've figured out you either press or you sit. You got to be good technically in tight areas. It's no different motivationally, but it's definitely a different beast, totally different game. It's very enjoyable though.
Darren, last little bit, you watched the S2 today. How do you think they're doing, and how's Ezra's job as far as coming along, bringing players along for the first team, and what talk about a little bit of that from a coach's perspective as far as that goes?
Well, Ezra's an awesome dude, first of all. He's done it 13 years in MLS. He knows it. It's his first coaching job outside of being an assistant. It's always hard. He gets some guys from the first team, some guys from the academy. But for me, I see David Olson and Shea, and I see, Sammy Rogers was this 10-year-old kid at Eastside that we talked into coming over. Now he's this 6'4" beast who's playing for us too. It just makes me happy. I hope to see a lot of those guys back up in the first team.
How easy and a motivating tool is that for you when you are talking to your U23 guys and you just can print them out, show them the team sheet, see these guys, these were our guys?
In the last 5 years, we put 65 guys into pro contracts. Jordan Morris, DeAndre Yedlin, those are guys that tops of the 23s, but that's how we sell. I don't have to recruit anymore. Guys call me and say, man, I want to come play because they want to move up.
Well, Darren Swatsky joining us here in the booth at halftime. Darren, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Again, the Sounders U23s on the PDL will be on YouTube later tonight, but we will return after a break with more halftime coverage here at the break. Seattle Sounders FC 2-0, Sacramento Republic FC 0.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
The stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
We're back at Starfire Stadium, still halftime here, 0-0 at the break between Seattle Sounders FC 2 and the Sacramento Republic. Andrew Harvey alongside Aaron Heinzen here in the booth. Aaron, you take a look at this first half, and the heat definitely playing an effect out there.
Absolutely. We saw the guys both first 20 minutes was active. Players were going at it, and then as we talked about the last 10, 15 minutes, things started to drain down. And so they'll get a good 15-minute rest, go back out, but that's going to be a factor in the second half. As we said, it's only going to get hotter. You have to conserve your energy. Maybe S2 pushing forward a little bit here in this second half caused some problems for the Sacramento back line, not allowing them to just keep hitting long balls into their back line, winning those balls in S2's area, and then getting chances out of it. So that might be something Ezra talks about with those guys. As far as Sacramento goes, I think they kind of just keep doing what they're doing. They're creating a little bit more. They're keeping the ball more, making S2 work, and that could have a factor in the second half.
Well, it was slow toward the end, but the first half was not entirely devoid of action. Let's take a look now at some of our first half highlights. See him coming in here. A lot of work being done up top. Trevin Caesar early on here, Aaron. What makes Sacramento so dangerous?
And that was one of the biggest chances right there by Caesar. Just a lot of active play up top. Good read here by Miller, and that's that long ball onto the right-hand side. Good crossing, I should say. Here's S2 coming the other way. Not a great touch early on there for David Olson, but does really well here. Ray Sorry, just over the crossbar. That's a chance there. Maybe almost a little bit of a half chance, I would say. Sorry, just nodding that over the crossbar, but nothing really significant for Sounders 2 so far in this game. Ezra Hendrickson, I'm sure, will look for more solid opportunities in the second half. As we mentioned during the first half, Shea Adekoya, kind of the lone guy operating up top in there, trying to find, space and positioning, and every time we've seen a cross come in, it just seems to be him. There's nobody else in the box, and S2, it's going to be tough to score a goal that way. So a couple more bodies in the box might help them take advantage of those crosses.
As a player, how do you drive up the power to kind of power through conditions when they're so adverse?
Well, everybody's out there and dealing with the heat, and you just have to do it. Work together as a team, make sure there's a lot of communication, make sure there aren't any breakdowns, and keep talking and keep working away, and hopefully something falls your way at some point. I think S2 would do well to keep the ball just a little bit more. Obviously, when you're defending and you're tired, just one moment where a guy says, that guy will get to it because I'm going to rest. Oh, no, he'll get to it. And then, that's how teams create chances and create goals. So certainly for both teams on both sides, we'll need to be defensively very, 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 very careful.
Take a look at our first half statistics here, and the possession lopsided as you might have assumed, although more level on shots than you would otherwise think, Aaron.
Yeah, just something about the quality of some of those shots. I mean, 2 great saves from Tyler Miller so far. That's Sacramento. S2 haven't really produced anything to make Jakovic work too hard, but they have the second half to do it.
Well, there you have it. There are your stats, and we will return after a break with the second half action. It's tied 0-0 between S2 and the Sacramento Republic here at Starfire Stadium.
The stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
We're back at Starfire Stadium, seconds away from the kickoff here to get us going in the second 45, and hard work from S2 here in hot conditions, even hotter down there on the turf. Andrew Harvey alongside Aaron Heinzen, scoreless at the break, but S2 have certainly had their hands busy on defense. Nuhu Tolo, a big part of this returning team. Sacramento Republic, for large portions of the first half, looked like they were running downhill, but S2 almost came out, caught him on the counter a couple of times. S2 breaks their huddle, getting in some warm-up runs, try to loosen up those legs, cramping as we tick into the later minutes. Definitely going to be an issue here. You see him huddling up there, Ray Sorry, Nuhu Tolo, and Tolo's had a phenomenal defensive game. Sacramento has just been dealing long ball after long ball over the top. Denzo Ulyssi and Nuhu Tolo have been busy trying to deal with those balls over the top. And Aaron, as we look at things here in the second half, teams have switched sides. The sun more at S2's back, but still early enough a day that probably won't have too much of an effect on the second 45.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem there for Sacramento. Still, like you said, right over the top. Both teams getting together. Looks like we may have had one change there from S2, and the new signing is in. Exciting to see how he does. That is Charles Rankin there on the left-hand side, number 78. Going to take the place of Milo Barton. The Academy product, so Charles Rankin will make his debut.
And an immediate long ball over the top. Trevin Caesar gives chase, and Tyler Miller collects. So in case you were wondering if it was going to be more of the same from Sacramento here in the second half, the answer immediately appears to be yes. Elliot Horde heads that ball forward. Touchdown by Hall, Cazares, Barrera.
Well, it was certainly working in the first half for Sacramento. That ball over the top, run by Trevin Caesar, getting in behind the S2 line. It was only a matter of time before he was able to settle it down and get a really good opportunity. I'm wondering if in this second half, Ezra Hendrickson will tell his players to just put a little more pressure on that back line, make them play through the middle, see if they can't pick something up off that.
Heat, definitely something that the Sacramento Republic are conditioned toward down there in the valley. A lot of their games intentionally scheduled by the league when they're at home, especially through the summer, to be played much later in the evening. As here's a ball in. That one knocked away. Charles Rankin applying some early pressure.
Just one more quick note on Sacramento's side. Wilson Nishaw's been replaced by Tyler Blackwood. He's now in up top on the left-hand side.
And it also looks like Shea Adekoya has been sat down by S2. Javorn Stevens now on the pitch. Corner in, dealt with by Sacramento. Nana Sinkum chases it down. Nuhu back to the right side. Zach Mathers has that one bounce awkwardly. Trying to combine, get some space. This is Rankin. Rankin into Stevens. Ball pops free, and Elliot Horde knocks it away. Wow. Unusual to see that many subs coming out of the break, but I think both Paul Buckle and Ezra Hendrickson kind of realized a lot of their guys were running themselves into the ground there in the first half.
Yeah, Adekoya didn't get any real opportunities. It also could be a case of just wanting him to get 45 minutes from the Sounders' perspective.
As Hendrickson mentioned to us that with Rankin in particular, they got to build up his fitness a little bit. Wasn't ready to go 90 today, but he'll get 45.
Well, he started the half on the left.
Ooh.
Now he's out there on the right. That's an interesting play.
How about that? And I can almost guarantee you that has to do with the heat causing Jeremy Hall's hands to be too slippery to hold on to that ball. Free kick opportunity for S2. Hall can't believe it. Quickly restarted inside for Sorry. Sorry. Over to Rankin. Outside for Ulysses. Sorry. Spins away, Narbonne up to Stevens. Stevens trying to turn, unable to do so past Christian. Sacramento players remain down behind the play, but it continues. Blackwood up to Caesar. Cleared away by Ulysses. And the Sacramento players regain their feet. I believe that was Augustine Cazares who'd been down. Near side for David Olson. Narbonne. And Elliot Horde going to get a talking to from Malik Badawi, the referee. Gave out 2 yellow cards in the first half. Here's the foul.
Yeah, just a pullback from Horde on Narbonne. It's going to be the 3rd Sacramento defender now to get a talking to. In fact, he's not the only one.
Julian James told to go away, and it's going to be more than a talking to. The card out of Malik Badawi's pocket. And it's given to Jeremy Hall. Well, that looked like it was initially just going to be a talking to. Jeremy Hall came in and gets booked for his trouble.
That's 2 players on the Sacramento back line with yellow cards. His legs get heavy later on this half. Players start to do a little more grabbing, pulling. Could be a factor.
Narbonne sends this free kick back. Julian James, the other Sacramento player in the book, and Zach Mathers. This ball turned over to Blackwood. Blackwood into the air, and Miller goes to ground, and a great save by Tyler Miller.
That was a super save from Tyler Miller.
And another turnover on the attempted clearance.
He's done so well with that huge save and then throws the ball right back to Sacramento.
Cross swung in, chested down. Cazares on the ground, and Miller can make that one. Well, we had talked about how Tyler Miller didn't have too much to do in the first half. Called to action there and answers terrifically. Well, he might not be too thrilled with his back line.
That was not a good ball at all from Nonasinkum. Just Blackwood read it all the way. Gave himself a huge opportunity to finish. And there's the continuation, though. The Sacramento struggles to score. As a forward, you absolutely have to finish that. Miller comes up with a huge save early on in the second half as well.
We know the heat affects your play physically, but does it also affect it mentally, Aaron?
Well, certainly when you get tired, you just tend to give up easier, and it's harder to focus. You just want to sit down and relax. But early on in the second half, Tyler Blackwood just coming into the game, you think that wouldn't be a problem for him. He's certainly scored goals against S2 before, playing for Arizona United last year. Now Phoenix rising.
Arbone floats one to Sari out wide for Olsen. Olsen has a switch available to Rankin. Goes to Mathers. Mathers over to Rankin. Into the area. Cuts back across a shot. It's deflected and fanned wide of the net. Jakovic gives chase.
Great work by Rankin there. Shot just goes straight into Javorn Stevens. There's nothing he could do. Good introduction from Rankin. Anytime you're a new player on a new team, you want to impress right away. He's got fresh legs as well.
Rankin goes to ground there. Ball up to Trevin Caesar, who looks like he was just subbed on despite having played all 45 in the first half. Back with Caesar. Tangling him up and winning the ball is Sari. Mathers. Sari. Olsen. And Olsen can't get past a very well-timed tackle by Jeremy Hall. Blackwood. Ochoa. Back to Blackwood. Gets to the ball. And Nuhu runs away from Ochoa. Nuhu going on a run here. And another stop from Hall. Sari with a quick switch. Charles Rankin. Rankin holds up. Outside for Mathers. Back to Ulysses. Cut inside for Sari. Rogers. Stevens. Rankin. Rankin sends in the cross, and Jakovic out there, and hands like Velcro.
That's a good grab from Jakovic. Good cross in, but maybe just a little bit high for two forwards in there. Good quick start, though, in this half for S2. A lot more energy from both teams. They both just needed a break.
Well, you kind of get the sense that for both teams, this game might wind up being a bit of a smash and grab job. Try to score a goal before the 70th minute and then just run everyone to death.
There's that pressure, though. That's a good stop from Olsen. From S2.
Kiffey.
Trying to prevent that long ball. Excuse me, Andrew.
No worries. Up to Blackwood. Up to Ochoa. Ochoa switches. Down to Elliot Horde. Horde cuts one inside. Drops it off to Ochoa. Gets it back. Ochoa gives chase, turns, is into the area. Olsen defending, a stabbing challenge, cross to the back post, and Ulysses the only man there. Barrera on the ball now. Defended by Rankin, floats across toward the back post. Trevin Caesar can't win it over Nuhu. Ulysses heads it clear. Christian back to Barrera. They reset. There's a Sounders player down in the box, and that will necessitate the stoppage of play.
That's Nuhu Tolo again up for that, winning that header.
He went down in the first half. Picks himself up now. Tells the bench that he's okay to continue. Take a look at it here.
He just gets a little bit of a knock from the back. Just needs a second to walk it off, maybe get some more water.
Patolo going to have to come off here since the trainer came on to attend to him. Walking gingerly on that left leg. Since the ball was not put out of play, we'll restart with the drop ball. Well, in this case, not entirely clear who's going to be the sportsman-like move. Sacramento had the ball, so I believe it would be proper for S2 to knock it back to them.
Yep, S2 will just knock it back to Jakubek or somebody in the back line.
That one
Sam Rogers.
Roll toward the touchline.
Thought for a moment Jakubek was going to let that go out of bounds. I thought that would be a strange move, but
I think it's just in a heat like this, sometimes, you know, stirring yourself up to start running is the hardest part. Once you get going, you have a nice breeze. Ochoa over to Blackwood. Blackwood cuts inside to his right foot. Ulysses comes in with the challenge, wins the ball.
Great tackle from Ulysses.
Rankin. First pass is knocked into. He's back on the ball. Rankin. Inside for Sari. Sari can't get a foot to it. Chipped up towards Trevin Caesar. Headed down by Rogers. Run onto by Barrera. And Nuhu there to deny Caesar. Sounders back line, despite having some trouble containing Trevin Caesar, has looked very composed here through 57 minutes. Ball out for an S2 throw at midfield on the far side.
This game just has the feeling of someone needs to take control. First team to score is going to have a real good advantage of coming away with 3 points.
Ulysses over the top to Stevens. Poked out once more. This ball right on the edge of the attacking third. Julius James. Chipped away from him. Ochoa threads that pass through a couple of defenders, but turns it over to Nuhu. Ball over the top. Stevens. Touchdown. Rankin inside. Javorn Stevens. Stevens rolls one across the face of net, and David Olson didn't continue his run at the back post.
Well, I didn't get all of it. Javorn Stevens. Good effort from the young man. But you're right, Andrew. David Olson just cutting across goal. You never know what can happen. Puts that away, no problem.
Olson led the NCAA in goals back in 2015. He'd scored 16. Of course, he led it through the end of Seattle University's season in the NCAA tournament. Pulled off a fantastic 1-0 win over UCLA in that game. And the man who would later surpass the goals tally for that season, a young man by the name of Jordan Morris. You may have heard of him.
Absolutely.
Chip through ball, Trevin Caesar, flag stays down. Caesar floats one into the net, and it's 1-0 Sacramento. The long ball over the top finally pays off for the Republic.
And he's been making that run all day. It's a great work from Trevin Caesar. Perfectly timed pass, just gets him behind, and this time, no mistake. Nothing Tyler Miller can do. Great ball from Danny Barrera. Picks up the run of Caesar, and that's an excellent finish. Just take one more look at it. Just times his run perfectly, right in between the two center backs. Sacramento take a lead here.
And that will lighten the burden on their shoulders. Tyler Miller, been fantastic all game. Really nothing he could do with that one. Trevin Caesar finds the gap against the flat back four.
Just to give you an idea of goals scored for, he had 10 goals last year, Trevin Caesar, for Orange County. This is his first goal of the season. Nine appearances, now first goal. Well, he certainly was active, created a lot of opportunities for himself. It's a well-deserved goal for Trevin Caesar.
Ball rolled through. Agustin Cazares. Sammy Ochoa into the middle. Picks out Blackwood, who leaves it in space. Ochoa on the run in. And Miller grabs that one out of the air. This could have changed the way this game's played. The Sacramento lead. S2 will have to commit more numbers forward.
Good step there by Sam Rogers to block that off, make it an easy save for Tyler Miller. You're right, Andrew. S2 need to bring a little something more in the attack in this half. Had a good first 5 minutes. Sacramento got their possession back.
Finally cracked the code just shy of the hour mark. This is Denzo Ulysses. Sorry. Tolo over on the left side. He'll collect it in the alleyway. Tolo an early cross, and again, Jakubek able to do what he has all game long, step onto the end of crosses without much pressure. Also worth noting that Elliot Horde, who played right midfield in the first half of the Sacramento Republic, is slotted back to that right back slot. Jeremy Hall's been freed up to go play in the midfield.
That will be interesting to see if Sacramento stick like this 4-4-2 at this point. A little change for them.
Tolo for Olsen. Sorry. Switch over to Ulysses. Ulysses does his best to get it to Rankin. Rankin keeps it in play but turns it over. And Sacramento knocks it away. Rogers. Short pass to Nuhu. Jordan Stevens trying to harass the back line. Dropped off for Sorry. And Nuhu just signaled for a substitution. Meanwhile, the ball bouncing atop the 18. Partial clearance. Olsen trying to get to it. Knocked down by James. Nuhu will track back. And we wait to see who will stand up and go in for him.
I would have to imagine be Riley Grant.
Barrera cuts ball outside.
It's a tough loss for S2, though, to make their final substitution this early in the half. Still a half an hour to play. Have to take Nuhu Tolo off and replace him with a defender.
Blackwood with some space here. The ball to his left. And tackled away by Rankin. Cazares cleans it up. Kiffey on the ground to Ochoa. Kiffey running onto the end of it. Sam Rogers. It was a small touch with a big reaction for Kiffey. Barrera in the right alley. Spins the ball over the top. Awkward ball from Denzo Ulysses. It comes backward to Tyler Miller, and Miller able to deal with it. Not an intentional back pass.
That looks like it's going to be Irvin Parra. That will come on for Nuhu. If that's going to be the change, it's either him or Lorenzo Ramos.
I think it might be Ramos.
Let's see what Ezra does with this. Nuhu does come off. Ramos is now hitting back to the bench.
In the meantime, Nana Sinkum presses forward. Ball chipped up. Blackwood, Cazares. Sorry settles it. Nuhu calls for it on the near sideline. Nuhu, does he have one more run left in him? Nuhu, onto the end of it, in the left alley. Chips the ball over the top, back post, sent back in. Zach Mathers got it on frame. He has the ball in the right alley. And his pass lets him down. James Kiffey wins the ball. Kiffey still under high pressure. Chris Christian cleans it up. Trevin Caesar with some space and plenty of pace. A couple of moves, deals the ball over to Blackwood. Play on signal from the referee. Blackwood pulls it back. Caesar. Ochoa spins it over to Barrera. Barrera goes for goal and misses wide right.
Well, it was quite a sequence. We'll start with the S2. It's a great ball from the midfield to put in Tolo. And that is the best cross we've seen all day. Here it is. plenty of space. Tolo whips it in, far post. Mathers gets all of this, but straight at Jakubek. Good save from him. Sacramento get this one back, go all the way down, and Barrera's shot is wide, but Tolo looks like maybe able to stay on the field. He's holding his hands up. Ezra Hendrickson still trying to figure out if Nuhu Tolo's okay or not.
Trainer has come over to radio something back to the bench. Meanwhile, it's Tyler Blackwood at the edge of the area. 3 defenders around him. Namasinkum puts that ball out of play.
It's another tough pass that's now been cut out by the front line of Sacramento. These two just need to clean things up a little bit.
And it looks like 66 minutes of hard running has taken its toll on Trevin Caesar. He's down on the ground. Trainer will come out to him. Sammy Ochoa getting some of Tyler Miller's water. Miller kind enough to share with him. One of those things where even though you're all competing, you can all agree. Here, take a drink.
Caesar giving everybody an opportunity to get a drink here.
Substitution now being signaled through. It won't be complete until Caesar makes it off the field, but he will be replaced in favor of Adam Moffat. Moffat, a 2-time Soccer Bowl winner with the New York Cosmos and Glasgow native. Joined this season after the Cosmos had that period of uncertainty last year.
Yeah, Moffat 4 appearances this season. All 4 have been starts. This is his first one as a substitute.
Now allowed on as Caesar makes it over to the technical area.
Little move here from head coach Paul Buckle just to slow things down a little bit.
At the second sub of the game for Sacramento, so 1 remaining for each side. Nuhu Tolo looks like he's going to try to soldier on here. Maybe give Ezra Hendrickson a chance to get another attacking sub in. See if S2 can push for an equalizer. Sacramento leads 1-0, 68 minutes in. And we'll have a throw-in on the far sideline. Pardon me, it'll be a free kick after foul was committed. James Kiffey is over the ball. Sacramento waving players forward. Chris Christian going to go get in the mix. Kiffey swings in this ball toward goal. Tolo with the header. Settled by Moffat. Horde makes the overlapping run. Deals inside for Christian. Christian tries to chip one over the top. Appeals for offside. And a attempt from Blackwood winds up on top of the net. Too steep an angle, Aaron.
Yeah, it was a good ball in by Moffat. Blackwood was flagged for offsides. Excuse me, Christian. Excellent ball. Just couldn't quite settle it down. He was flagged for offsides anyways.
Narbonne over to Namasinkum. Ball up to Mathers. Sorry. Stevens, quick passes here from the Sounders too. Rankin and Stevens' pass intercepted by Danny Barrera.
Stevens still 19 years of age.
Barrera coast to coast.
Showing his youth a little bit against that experienced back line. Needs to hold up the ball just a little bit better. Let his team get forward.
Elliott Horde near sideline to Barrera. Barrera, nifty looking back heel. Blackwood gives chase, but Sam Rogers has the better read. Narbonne. Down for Rogers. Sorry. Rogers is surveying, but you can see him holding his arms outstretched, kind of asking, does someone want to make a run? Ball forward, Javorn Stevens, Julius James boxes him out. Jakubek will come off his line, and that's a well-designed run by Julius James.
Easily blocking Javorn Stevens off there. S2 just showing a little bit of sign of wear. Now Zach Mathers will go and pressure Chris Christian a bit.
Long ball over the top.
Sacramento moving to 4-4-2, just going to keep 2 solid lines of 4 and try and find the forwards.
Augustine Cazares, Adam Moffat taking his space. Knocks it over to Barrera. Barrera collects it in the corner. Defended by Nuhu Tolo. Tolo gets the ball and Barrera gets a seat. We've played 70 minutes here at Starfire Stadium. The Sacramento Republic have a 1-goal lead thanks to Trevin Caesar, who scored in the 59th minute and is now observing proceedings from the bench. Ray Sari, ball over the top. Charles Rankin gives chase and the flag up for offside on the far sideline.
Good effort from Rankin. That's what S2 need, though. Somebody to get and making a few runs behind the Sacramento back line. You just take a look. We've seen the last few minutes, S2 players in the back getting their heads up, and they're not seeing much behind them. Not seeing much of a passing option.
So 19 minutes left to play. S2 has a throw-in. Aaron, especially in these conditions, it seems likely that we will see S2's third sub. Take a look at the available guys. Lorenzo Ramos, Irvin Parra, Jamie Dimitrov. Who do you think this game could use the most?
I think for me it'd be Parra. Most experience, has that ability, that extra something to open the play up. Can score goals for this team. Then we see those giveaways in the hot sun. That is so difficult. Players getting forward, now they have to turn and sprint back. Sacramento will be happy to just keep this ball. Even though there's 20 minutes left, they're in no hurry to do anything at this point. They'll take their time.
Ball to Hall. Julius James. Touchdown by Blackwood. Rolled out left for Cazares. Cazares. Space for a cross, and it will swing through. Meeting no one. Danny Barrera going to meet it in the right alleyway and keep it in play.
Good flick from Sammy Ochoa. He knew that Denzel Ulysses was pulled out onto the right. Flicks it into Blackwood.
Barrera rolls one forward. Nuhu gets to it and is fouled by Elliott Horde. Free kick for S2. And now we are seeing the substitute waiting at the far side. That is Lorenzo Ramos. So now the question is, who will he come on for? Francisco Narbone is going to make way. So a removal of a defensive midfielder and putting on an attacking midfielder. And what about Lorenzo Ramos's game do you think is going to maybe pay a dividend here?
Well, Lorenzo Ramos has the ability to win the ball, bring a lot of energy to that midfield, and maybe that will give Zach Mathers an opportunity to push forward a little bit more, pick up some of those defensive duties. I am a little bit surprised Parra isn't getting a chance on the field. But Lorenzo Ramos, a lot of experience in the USL now, 3rd season with S2, first as an S2 player.
Blackwood.
Excuse me, Andrew, scored a spectacular goal last year against Whitecaps too.
That goal, his loan of the season with S2. He's yet to find the back of the net this year, but he may prove to be just what the Sounders ordered. S2 out of subs now. Sacramento one more after pulling Trevin Caesar. David Olson. Mathers. Nuhu. Nuhu back to Rogers.
You could just see S2. Good possession there, but it didn't go very quickly. Sacramento do a great job just dropping back in. Now forcing S2 to play around them.
This is Lorenzo Ramos. Mathers. Denzel Ulysses. Ulysses' defender goes down. Ulysses takes space to his left. Chops it back to Sari. Rogers. Olsen. Ramos. Mathers lets it go by him. Denzel Ulysses goes outside to Rankin. Charles Rankin Trying to dish. Ulysses. Sorry going to go for a goal, and that one going to sail high and wide. Out for a goal kick.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to get an effort in. Just puts it way too high. Good bit of possession there from S2. If they can get a little more consistency, keep the ball, make Sacramento defend. Nick a goal and get back into it.
Jakubek waiting to send this goal kick upfield. 15 minutes to play here from Starfire Stadium. And the Republic just trying to see if they can see these last 15 minutes clear. Ball into touch. Sacramento going to take a throw in, and we're probably going to wind up seeing a lot of players on the deck here these last 15 from both teams. Ordinarily, you'd think, well, it might be some gamesmanship to run out the clock. There might be some of that, but on a day like today, it's hard to criticize someone who's been playing an hour and 15 minutes of soccer from cramping. And that one off the head of an unlucky fan. Needs to come forward, more neck action.
It was a good effort. It was a good effort.
You got to take your head to the ball. And a foul now in the right alley. Zach Mathers brought down, a yellow card in the hand of Malik Badawi. Chris Christian, the third player on the back line for Sacramento Republic to receive a yellow.
Yeah, Chris Christian just did not like the call, kicks the ball away. Pretty easy yellow card there. Take another look. Both hands on the back. Mathers feels it, goes down. That almost completes the back line for Sacramento. James, Hall, and Christian all with a yellow card.
Sounders fans trying to get their team into it.
Huge opportunity here for S2.
Sam Rogers is in the box. So is David Olson, Javorn Stevens, Rankin at the back post. Lorenzo Ramos up top. Rankin moves more into the middle. Nanasinka makes a run inside. Malik Badawi wants a word with everyone involved in the middle. Whistle goes. Zach Mathers dishes to the back post. Header and scored! Brian Nanasinka!
Nanasinka, his second USL goal of his career. And the second time he scored against Sacramento. It's a fantastic finish. You have to take a look, though, at Dominic Jakubek. He comes out for this. Doesn't get a hand to it, sees it's gone beyond him. Nanasinka gets inside of his defender. Just like that, rolling in behind. Great finish there from Brian Nanasinka, the equalizer for S2.
Well, and S2 put a bunch of numbers in the box. That was Sammy Ochoa, who was trying to match up with Brian Nanasinka. Ochoa, a former Sounder, great attacking player in his own right, but in his current state, age 30, just, you know, kind of got dragged in there by the 22-year-old center back.
Perfect stamp on that header. S2 have a chance to get right back into this game now.
Denzel Ulysses. Instantly you can see faster feet, brighter spirits from S2. I've been prepared to jokingly criticize Nanasinka when we hit the 6th minute and he hadn't found the back of the net yet. But once again, he also had a dangerous near header at the back post in the first half on that quick free kick from Ray Sari in the 6th minute, and he makes good. That ball's lost into touch.
S2 just now have to settle things down, get possession again, see if they can't cause this Sacramento defense a few more problems. A little communication issue there between Rogers and Nanasinka. Don't allow Sacramento these free kicks or opportunities to have too much possession where they get right back into the game. Sacramento know exactly what they have to do. There's Chris Christian again with one of those long balls over the top.
Moffat runs onto that ball, appeals for handball, not going to get it. The difference now with these long balls from Sacramento is that Trevin Caesar ran himself out of the game. Got a goal in that period, so it worked out well in the meantime, but it does mean that they will have to find a new way. Tyler Blackwood is the other speedster up front, but he just doesn't have the raw pace that Caesar does.
No, Blackwood certainly will be the option. Not quite as fast as you say as Caesar, but still has that ability to get in behind. We saw him, he's done it a couple times so far, just one touch away from doing so.
That's Blackwood underneath it now. Ochoa.
You see both center backs dropping off of Blackwood there. He doesn't get the header right this time, but somebody has to get up and challenge him for that.
Denzo Ulysses races to that ball. Clever first touch. It's with Rankin. Inside for Sari. Mathers over to David Olsen. Olsen taking his space, gives it back to Mathers in the left alley. Defended by Elliott Horde. Mathers attempts to nutmeg Horde. Ball gets through, but not Mathers.
Horde does very well there, blocking off Mathers. Tried to slop the ball between the legs, maybe not quite the time to do something like that. Wait for everybody else to get up. Try and keep possession up in Sacramento's area.
Horde inside to Moffat. Action on the visitor bench. It looks like the final substitution is on the way, and it is the 21-year-old Daniel Trickett Smith, former Liverpool man who is pulling on his shirt and receiving his final instructions from Paul Buckle.
Trickett Smith, a midfielder. Got 4 starts this year, 7 appearances.
And from what we've seen of him, he does have the kind of raw pace that might prove to be
absolutely
the receiving end of one of those long balls. 83rd minute here. Jeremy Hall cuts the ball back to Julius James and draws a foul. Near side for Barrera. Elliott Horde. Blackwood. Horde inside to Hall. Kiffey making the run on the left side. Charles Rankin has that ball scuff off his shoulder. Back to Chris Christian. Christian tries a long ball over the top. Awkwardly played by Nana Sinkum. Rogers doesn't get the clearance he wants. And Ochoa collects. Defended by Ulysses. Kiffey on the overlap. Kiffey's cross straight into Ulysses and out of play. Substitution called for now. In comes Daniel Trickett Smith. Out comes Sammy Ochoa.
So Trickett Smith will go up top and will get a chance to use some of that pace. Ochoa's day is done.
Both teams have exhausted their substitutes, and exhausted, I think, actually might be the most apt word possible. That is the kind of soccer that you're going to see from some players here in these last 6 minutes.
It's so important, Andrew, that both these guys keep their focus. They know their legs are tired, so do that extra thing. Set yourself before the play comes. Don't get caught watching. Clean up any possible mistakes. It's one error here, and the people aren't going to have the legs to get back and help you out.
Rogers. Sorry. Rolls one forward. That ball came off the foot, it seemed, of Christian. It won't matter as Jakovic is there to keep it in play.
Good idea from Sorry. Just bounces off. Javorn Stevens couldn't hang on to it.
Jeremy Hall surveys the field. Floats one over the top. This is Blackwood. Cut out by Nana Sinkum. Controlled by Ulysses.
Nicely covered by Nana Sinkum. It's a little surprising from time to time how many balls we've seen over the top that the S2 backline isn't dropping a little bit more. The rule goes, if there's no pressure on the player, you drop off a little bit so you don't get those balls over your head. Right now, the front line of S2 is not really putting any pressure on Sacramento at all. So you'd expect another long ball here.
worked out in the first time, and it's created all of Sacramento's most dangerous chances. No reason to go away from it.
Nice pressure by Mathers there. Win that ball back for S2.
Ulysses goes on a run. Dishes to Ramos, the recent substitute. Ball out with Rankin. Rankin spins one in. Jakovic gives chase. David Olsen header and scored! 86th minute. And David Olsen meets the open play cross at the back post.
Well, David Olsen getting his second goal of the season. Fantastic header. Again, you have to take a look at goalkeeper Dominic Jakovic and what he does here. This is that ball coming over from Rankin. Jakovic just kind of waving at it, can't get to it. Great finish from David Olsen. S2 take a lead. There's Jakovic, comes out of his goal. If he doesn't move, he saves that no problem. You could see why it was so enticing for him. The ball hung out there in the air. Jakovic comes out, doesn't get a hand to it. David Olsen does really well to finish that off.
Bit of wind beneath the wings of S2 now. Sacramento gonna have to claw for every inch to try to get back in. We're in the 87th minute. And Charles Rankin comes off the bench in his first S2 appearance. Bags an assist. What a beautiful cross. Plenty of float, perfect placement, and David Olsen says, "Thank you very much."
Well, it was funny, the cross was a good cross. It wasn't superb or anything like that, but it had the height, and it drew Dominic Jakovic out. Thought he could get to it. Costly mistake there. S2 just can't give that stuff away right there in the middle. You see Adam Moffat almost picked it up.
Jeremy Hall went down a minute ago. Nuhutolo overruns the ball, completely loses it, keeps it in, and Elliot Horde dishes back. And now you're seeing this mental fatigue starting to set in for both sides.
Well, here we have Nuhutolo making his run. He's the outside back. David Olsen's going to go slot in for him. You're up 2-1 now.
Ball up with Blackwood. Blackwood into the alley. Ball knocked out of play.
Sorry, Andrew. I was going to say, you're up 2-1 now. You don't need to score again. Just keep things conservative. Finish this game out. This would be their first win against Sacramento since 2015.
Trickett Smith plays it off Ulysses, wins the corner kick.
Does well there, Trickett Smith.
This the fourth of the game for Sacramento. Pardon me. No, they've awarded a goal kick. It really looked like that had come off Ulysses from our angle here, but it must have taken one last minor deflection. Wow, that is massive in and of itself.
Well, we've seen a couple times this season where S2 have played well. Thought they had earned themselves some points. Only to have an error here and there give things up. This time it's kind of gone the other way for them, at least so far. They haven't played particularly well today, but two great finishes. Just a couple minutes away from getting 3 points.
Ball picked up by Stevens. Stevens has Rankin making a forward run. Stevens taking his space. He'll shoot and miss wide of the net. Ball out and away, but Javoran Stevens still able to put in work here late.
Well, Javoran Stevens does well to run right at the back line. Maybe he could have slipped in Rankin a little earlier. Good effort from him. You can just see the life kind of draining out of Sacramento now. They'll still be a threat before this game is over. No question about it.
Blackwood back to Barrera. 90th minute now. Barrera floats one over to the left side. Finds Agustin Cazares. Cazares back to Christian. Christian has been the man serving in many of these long balls today. Short to Cazares. Cut away. Denzo Ulysses spins away from a defender. And the ball runs out of play for an S2 throw-in.
Stoppage time, 3 or 4 minutes, Andrew, would you say? Had the little water break. Nuhu Tolo on the ground.
Trevin Caesar on the ground. I'd probably say I'd expect 3, but I wouldn't be stunned to see 4.
For sure.
Jeremy Hall. Ball cut back to Horde. Ball over the top from Blackwood. Rogers collects, and we're being told now that we can expect 3 minutes of added time as we enter stoppage time here at Starfire Stadium. Sounders, too, have pulled back 2 goals in the final 12 minutes.
Stevens made that run earlier. He was offside, so Olsen and Sorry didn't play him. He's just got to really watch his line. He was the outlet there just that moment ago. S2 now had to go back and have lost possession again.
Elliot Horde up to Danny Barrera. Tempted ball looking for Trickett Smith. Rogers heads it down. And that, the equivalent of, they call it dumping the puck in hockey. Just throw it into the zone, make him go grab it. Rogers tracks that ball out of the air. Mathers, nifty little touch. Olsen, he'll blast it up the field and into touch, and that one not off the top of a fan's head.
And at this point in the game, under the sun, S2 will be happy to just knock that ball wherever.
That ball's gone back on the field, got away from the ball by Julius James, gonna have to knock it out. Play continues, Chris Christian gonna spin a ball over the top. Backing in, going down is Barrera. No whistle forthcoming, Jeremy Hall. Ball comes to his foot, out wide for Trickett Smith. Trickett Smith, and right there to turn it away, Nuhu Tolo.
Oh, Javorn Stevens, he can move a little bit at the very end there just to stop Chris Christian from serving those in. They are causing such a problem this entire game.
This has gone out for a corner. This will be Sacramento's 4th of the game, and we're in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Trickett Smith will send the ball. Chris Christian in there getting physical. Ball toward the back post. An S2 player was the first one to it. It looked like that might have been Lorenzo Ramos who cleared it away. S2 not out of the woods yet. Trickett Smith. Inside, Elliot Horde. Horde will spin this one in. Ball finds the ground inside the area. Poked out by Cazares. Blackwood shoots and scores. And right at the death, Tyler Blackwood finds the back of the net. The substitute pulls it level at 2.
Well, it's an absolute dagger, Andrew. Ball's just bouncing around, can't quite get cleared. It's here, it's there, it's a nice touch. Blackwood with an excellent finish. Take a look at who got that to him. I think that's, yep. Cazares finds Blackwood at the last second, and that is it. It's another frustrating last few moments for S2. As we've mentioned before, it wasn't a particularly great game offensively for S2, but you had the points in the bag, and it's just the way the game goes sometimes. Frustrating to see for Ezra Hendrickson in the home side, but Sacramento narrowly avoid a defeat here.
Sounders 2 will be back here at Starfire Stadium on Saturday, June 3rd to face Los Dos. That kick is slated for a 7 p.m. kickoff. We will have it for you here. That's going to do it for all of us here from Starfire Stadium. Bootstrappers Productions, Aaron Hines, and I'm Andrew Harvey. Your final score, Seattle Sounders FC 2-2 and the Sacramento Republic 2. Thank you. Only as far as Cazares. Cazares goes for a quick switch. Elliott Horde serve back in the middle, and Tyler Miller is right. Malik Badawi, pardon me. Assistant referees Seth Mackin and Chad Stewart. The fourth official is Ben Oakley. Final preparations here. It is a bright Kiffey inside for Caesar. Great move past Notasinkum. He's on his right.